Welcome to The Explainer. If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by all the conflicting nutrition advice out there, or maybe a little intimidated by all the confusing dietary jargon, well, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we're cutting through all that noise. We're going to completely demystify plant-based eating by looking directly at a really fantastic, pragmatic nutrition guide that was recently released by the Department of Veterans Affairs. We're going to break down exactly what this lifestyle looks like on a purely practical level. No fluff, no confusing science terms, just everything you need to know to understand how to fuel your body effectively.
Here's our game plan for today. 1. Defining plant-based. 2. The powerful benefits. 3. Building your plate. 4. Alternative proteins. And 5. Taking the first step.
Section 1, defining plant-based and what it actually means.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Because before we can talk about all the amazing health benefits or get into the recipes, we really need to establish the absolute baseline of what this lifestyle actually entails. The crucial point here is clarity. A true plant-based diet is focused entirely on foods derived from plants. So we're talking about a rich, colorful variety of vegetables, beans and legumes, fruits, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. But, what's equally important is what is strictly left off the menu. This diet entirely excludes meat, poultry, wild game, seafood, eggs, and dairy, which means no milk, no yogurt, and no cheese. There is zero ambiguity here. It's not just about eating less meat, it's about removing animal products altogether and building your meals 100% around plant sources.
Section 2, the powerful benefits and why you might want to choose this diet.
Now that we know exactly what a plant-based diet is, we need to answer the million-dollar question: why do it? Let's transition from the what to the why and look at the extraordinary impacts this dietary shift can actually have. The benefits outlined by the VA are quite honestly incredibly powerful. First and foremost, a plant-based diet can help prevent or even reverse heart disease. Considering that is the leading cause of death in America, that alone is a massive reason to pay attention. But it really doesn't stop there. On average, people eating this way weigh less than those eating a standard American diet, which promotes a healthy body weight overall. It's also associated with greater protection against all types of cancer, and it's been shown to be highly effective in preventing, managing, and treating diabetes. And that's largely because the massive increase in dietary fiber helps stabilize your blood sugar. But beyond your own personal health, plant-based diets use way fewer natural resources, like water, making them far more environmentally sustainable while also supporting animal welfare. So really, it's a win for your body and a win for the planet.
Section 3, building your plate and figuring out what actually goes in the kitchen.
Let's shift gears a bit. It's one thing to know all those impressive benefits, but what does this actually look like in your own kitchen? Let's take a quick virtual pantry tour to see how appetizing, abundant, and completely accessible these food categories really are. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it completely reframes the traditional food pyramid you might be used to. Look right at the foundation: vegetables. They're naturally low in calories, high in fiber, and just packed with nutrients. In fact, according to the guide, your vegetable intake at the base of this pyramid is literally unlimited. You should be eating them every single day, with green leafy veggies being an absolute essential for optimal health. Then, as you move up the pyramid, you have generous servings of beans and fruits, followed by whole grains and nuts. But notice what sits at the very top, in those tiny little sections: processed vegetable protein products and sweets, or processed foods loaded with white flour and added oils. Those are the items you really want to limit or just avoid entirely. The whole foundation of your health is built on that wide, unlimited base of whole vegetables.
So let's move to a category that often confuses people: carbohydrates. The rule here is incredibly simple. You want to focus your energy on whole grains, things like oats, brown rice, quinoa, and barley. These are in their natural form, which means they contain the absolute most nutrition and they're packed with fiber that keeps you feeling full and satisfied. On the complete opposite side of the spectrum, you have refined grains. These are highly processed and totally stripped of their nutrition and their fiber. We're talking white bread, sugary cereals, candy bars, pastries, all that stuff. The guide is crystal clear on this. Absolutely enjoy whole grains alongside your beans and veggies, but avoid those refined processed grains as much as humanly possible.
Next up, we have our healthy fats. Nuts and seeds are basically the absolute best sources of fat on a plant-based diet, mainly because they come perfectly packaged with fiber, vitamins, and minerals. The VA recommends aiming for just 1 to 2 ounces daily. To put that into perspective, that's maybe 20 almonds, a couple of tablespoons of peanut butter, or just sprinkling some seeds on your salad. Now, if you're looking for those crucial omega-3 fatty acids, walnuts, flax seeds, and chia seeds are going to be your best friends. Here's a pro tip directly from the source.
Try throwing some flax or chia seeds into your morning smoothie for the greatest nutritional benefit. It's literally the easiest upgrade ever. Section 4. Alternative proteins and replacing the meat on the plate. All right, we've officially arrived at the most common apprehension almost anyone has when they consider eating this way. You look down at your plate, you've mentally taken away the chicken or the steak, and you think, okay, what goes there now? Let's demystify these ingredients, because I know their names might sound a bit unfamiliar at first. First up is tofu. It's simply made from cooked soybeans. It has a very mild taste, which is honestly its superpower because it absorbs the flavor of whatever you cook it with. Firm tofu replaces meat in hot dishes, while silken tofu blends perfectly into smoothies or creamy sauces. Next is tempeh. This is a soybean patty made by fermenting cooked soybeans. It has a much firmer, chewy texture than tofu and a really great nutty flavor, which makes it perfect for stir-fries and sandwiches. Finally, we have seitan. This is actually made from wheat gluten, which is the protein portion of wheat. Because it has a very chewy texture that is remarkably similar to chicken or turkey, it's amazing in hearty stews and curries. Just keep in mind, if you happen to have celiac disease or a gluten sensitivity, seitan is definitely one you'll need to skip.
Section 5. Taking the first step and building a practical action plan.
We've covered the strict definitions, the immense health benefits, and exactly what to start putting on your plate. Now it is time to translate all this excellent knowledge into a highly practical action plan. How do you actually get started? Well, you might be surprised to learn that taking small, gradual steps towards plant-based eating has a really long historical precedent. You've probably heard of Meatless Monday, right? But did you know this global movement actually started all the way back during World War I? The original goal was to reduce overall meat consumption to promote the health of humans and the planet, using a very simple motto: once a week, cut the meat. It's a brilliant reminder that you absolutely do not have to change your entire life overnight to start making a real impact.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact progression the VA recommends for adopting this lifestyle. It is completely unintimidating. Step 1 is simply picking just one day a week to go meatless. Just one day. Once you master that, step 2 is making your most important meal of the day plant-based. Try oatmeal with fruits and nuts or maybe a green smoothie. Then step 3 expands on that. Eat plant-based until dinner, so you'd have a massive salad or a hearty bean chili for a power lunch. You're just easing into it. Now, the guide does note that for those of you who are ready to go cold, as they jokingly call it, tofurkey, you can absolutely jump right in and transition fully on day 1. But for most of us, this gradual stepping stone method is really the key to lasting success.
Which brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with today. We've seen the science, we've explored the pantry, and we've laid out the steps. You really don't have to be perfect tomorrow. But based on everything we've uncovered in this explainer today, are you ready to replace just one single meal to start transforming your health and the planet? Think about it and take that first step.